right. Welcome everybody to tonight's webinar on Teak. We'll give people a minute or two to get logged in here. And in the meantime, if you want to just get familiar with the Zoom Q&A box down there at the bottom, if you want to type in where you are listening in from and whether you are a Teak owner already, or if you're familiar with Teak or own any Teak products. All right, we've got John in Southport, North Carolina. Oh, I am also in North Carolina. Fantastic. Glad to see another local. Few other people slowly rolling in. We'll give them another minute here. I know Zoom can be a little slow sometimes. We've got Crystal in Vancouver. Fantastic. All right. Well, it looks like we are right at 5:01 Eastern, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Hey, Carla from the Bay Area, welcome. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining us. My name is Betsy Rosenlund. I've been working with the Teak program for just about 10 years at this point. Mike Cobb was going to join us, but he is actually driving back to Panama City from the Teak farms. But he has been sending me videos all day, so you will hear some little snippets from him throughout. And if he's able to join us in the Q&A portion, then he will. But otherwise, you're with me, and I'm happy to have you here. So let's get this going. So, if you're not familiar with our parent company already, ECI Development, we've been around since 1996 in Latin America, developing residential communities. We first began in Panama around 1999, and we with the purchase of our first teak farm. So, let's see. If you're not familiar with Panama, this is a map of Panama. Panama City here in the middle, between this kind of orange and yellow, is the capital of Panama City. But the area that we're going to be talking about is this area in this red circle here, the Darién Province. That is where all of our teak farms, as well as our teak sawmill, are located. And this is a really important area, and we'll talk about more about that as we go here. I do also want to note that we do have teak farms in Nicaragua as well, but this webinar is going to focus primarily on the Panama option. So if you are interested in the Nicaragua teak, definitely stay tuned during this webinar. Most of the information still applies. Just a different country, and there are some small differences, but we're happy to answer those questions about that teak if it's of interest to you. Um, so let's get going here. So like I said, we have three different farms located in Panama. They're all pretty close together in location. There's about maybe an hour between them, depending on the state of the road there. Our teak sawmill that's newly up and running is also located right near one of the farms there. So it's pretty strategically located. And that's talk about that more in a little bit as well. But kind of to start off, why teak? Why are we talking about teak, this long-term forestry investment in another country? And there's two main reasons that people purchase teak. One is for the return on their investment. And then the second one is to obtain a second residency, which is an option in Panama with the teak. We're not going to talk a whole lot about that, but we can definitely connect you with experts on the Panama residency if that is something that's of interest to you. I will touch on it briefly a little bit later on, but those are the two kind of main reasons that people are looking at teak. And so, yeah, our original farm, Mike went down in 1998, I believe it was, and saw a cattle pasture and purchased it and had the vision to plant teak on it, knowing that, 25 years was going to come and go. And if he could build or plant something that would give back returns to him as well as to his daughters and future generations, it was, a really forward thinking thing at the time. And it's folks like you now who are listening in on this who are also forward thinking and, thinking 25 years ahead, 50 years ahead, 100 years ahead, generations to come. Um, so we have a couple of different options in Panama that we'll, discuss. Um, Primarily, the focus is going to be on our baby teak. We do have some of our teenage teak parcels available, but those are limited, and I will talk about that more as well. Um, so this is kind of a general, real quick overview. All of this information that's on this chart is available in our business plan. So feel free. Don't feel like you're obligated to jot down everything you see on here. We can definitely send you a digital copy of that business plan, so that you can look through that at your convenience. Um, but what it is, what kind of the gist of it is, you own the land. You own each of our parcels. There's one quarter acre. You own the land. You own the trees. Um, and if you decide that in 25 years you don't want us to cut your trees down and harvest or process them, we won't. I assume most people who are listening in on this are looking to get that return on their investment, so they'll probably have us cut them down and process them. But you have the ability to turn, roughly less than $9,000 potentially into just shy of 110,000. I'll go into more on these projections, but these are based on, a medium quality teak, medium growth, medium board foot price. So we tried to keep them pretty middle of the road. Certainly it can go higher. We have historically seen an increase annually in teak prices. So, these are potentially conservative, but we don't want to, unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball and can't guarantee you what will happen, but we are, pretty confident based on what we've seen historically and what we're seeing in the teak market, both in Panama as well as worldwide. I also mentioned at the beginning there is an option to obtain a second residency in Panama, which is a great kind of plan B option. Maybe you're looking to relocate outside the country. Maybe you're concerned about the state of affairs in your home country and you're looking for alternative options. Having that second residency, gives you some peace of mind, and gives you an option to relocate should you want to or need to, on a permanent or semi-permanent or just on a vacation basis. So we have put together a teak and residency package, which includes half an acre of baby teak, plus all of the legal and government fees for the Panama residency. I do want to note that you are required to go down to Panama at least twice during the residency application process. That's a question I get a lot. You do have to go in person. There's no way around that, unfortunately, but it does pay off in the long run when you have that residency. So, kind of shifting back to the focus of here, the teak, we have been working with a company called Hale Forestal since the beginning, and we chose to bring them on because at the end of the day, our company, we are not forestry experts. We are not teak experts. We are not necessarily experts in how to grow teak in Panama and maintain it and process it. So we hired the best company that we could find in Panama. This gentleman that you see on the screen is Jacobo Melamed. He has been with us since day one when Mike went down to Panama looking at what were then cattle pastures. And he and his team have been really instrumental in making sure that our trees are growing properly, that they're getting the correct nutrients, that any sort of uh, diseases or things that might come up are mitigated as quickly as possible to ensure that your teak investment is growing safely, securely. Um, and so, yeah, we're very lucky to have them. Jacobo and his team are on site regularly at all of our farms doing various things like cleanings, pruning, and just checking, generally just checking to make sure that everything is in order. This is where we procure our teak saplings from. They are the largest forestry management company in Panama. They work with hundreds of thousands of acres of not just teak, but a lot of teak throughout Panama. So they really are the experts in this field. And next, I want to show you these are some videos that Mike sent me earlier today. And I want to kind of show you the value of what having professional management versus unmanaged, because really anybody could grow some seeds in the ground and grow teak. Teak also grows wild in several parts of Southeast Asia, but there's a difference between naturally growing wild teak and forestry plantation grown teak, which you'll see here.
Hi Betsy, there's no sound. Can you try
There's
to?
no sound.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, Diego just informed me that there was no sound. So I apologize, if you couldn't hear that. Let me just try. Sorry, folks. Oh, goodness. Okay, well, I apologize. Um, Sounds like perhaps we will not have video. Happy to send anybody these videos. That's my bad. Probably should have tested the video and sound to make sure, but I do apologize. But what you see in that video, here in this scene, there's forestry grown or plantation teak, which is grown in straight lines. And then on the other side, let me see if I can kind of get over there to see it. No, this here is just over the fence from our teak farm, and that is still teak, but it is not managed. It is just growing wild, and you can see there's tons of underbrush, lots of other plant life growing. So all the nutrients that are in the soil that could be going to the teak are not necessarily all going to the teak. So that's really the importance of having managed farms. It is a scientific process that they've got down. Oh gosh. So sorry, everybody. I'm not used to using video. Um, so I mentioned earlier that that we chose the Darien province of Panama for several reasons, but one of the most important ones was the location, and it offered really the most optimal um, weather and land conditions. It has a much needed dry season. Teak does need a wet season, but it very much needs a dry season, which allows it to cure and create those properties that are teak is so well known for. It gives it that hardness. It also has a very fertile soil and it's at the correct elevation, right temperatures, correct amount of rainfall annually. So all of those factors really go into the teak becoming. So in 1998, like I said, Mike went down to Panama, scouted out the land. These are some of the saplings growing at the Hale Forest Fall. Um, 1999, planted the saplings into the land, started growing. They continue to grow. Here you can see a pretty good growth in about 7 years between when they were planted and when this photo was taken. And then one of the greatest things is that trees don't know what's going on in the economy. They don't know what's going on in the world, in news and politics. And so, between 2008 and 2012, when everybody else was kind of scrambling and trying to figure out which way was up, the trees still grew. So Steve Sugarud, a well-known economist, says trees grow through recessions, they grow through wars, they grow through stock and real estate crashes, they grow through everything. They give you built-in investment growth that isn't guaranteed with a stock. In 2016, we kind of started bringing folks down. People were wanting to come see their farm, see the teak. So we started doing tours, which are really quite fun. I will also talk about, we do have one coming up, which I'll talk about more at the end here. Again, in 2021, we acquired our teenage teak farm, which had trees that at that time, I want to say were about 12 or 13 years old. We also bought some additional land, which is near this, which is where the newborn teak is located as well. Uh, Continuing to go down, checking on the trees, we do. Regular visits there. This gentleman here, the gray shirt, is been a really instrumental part of the teak farm since about 2023, and we'll talk about more about Ryan later as well. But he's down there on a regular basis, making sure that everything in order. So teak and timber ownership in general is not really your mainstream kind of investment. It's really something that you have to be a little bit savvier to think ahead, think like that, think in 25-year terms, think in longer term investments. And so it's great to have so many folks on this webinar who are thinking ahead like that. It's kind of three of the main reasons that people do choose to own timber. The first one is getting back to Mother Nature. Um, Nature is important. We need trees, we need air. Trees help the air. But old growth forests are being deforested at a pretty alarming rate, about 85 acres a minute. And so by planting teak on what was formerly a cattle pasture, you are giving back to Mother Nature. And as part of our uh, licenses and permits that we have, we are required to replant after every harvest. So we will continue to plant and replant for generations to come. The second reason that folks are buying teak is that the global demand is up, but the global supply is down. Um, what I like about this chart is here, this green line. shows what was the price of uh, natural teak. Oh, Diego's saying my camera is taking up too much audience. So we'll turn the video off. Sorry about that, guys. Um, So this green line here, that shows the price from about 1972 until 2002 of old growth teak. And then you see it start to decline around 2002. And that then you see this red line here. And that's when folks really started planting, uh, realizing the value that there is in intentionally planting teak to grow for market. And so that line pretty quickly surpasses the price. And this only goes up to 2012. So I'm certain that if we had a continuation of this, it would kind of be off the charts here now. And the second part of this that I want to focus on is that the average wholesale price of teak has increased on an average of about 5.5% per year since 1972. Um, we have factored that average in to the projections that we give you, but we also are able to give you a projection, in the event that the teak price stayed stagnant, didn't increase, so that you can kind of see and compare. We are, of course, hopeful that it will continue on that 5.5 or more trajectory as we get closer to harvest. Teak is harvested about 8 to 12 times faster than it is being replanted. So if you can think of that, imagine what that does to the price. Teak takes 25 years to grow, to reach a point where it can be harvested and turned into a marketable product. So, when there's a demand like that, that's certainly going to increase the price. And the third reason that folks are looking at teak as an investment is that it has above average returns and it's got real value. So timberland investors have beat the stock markets since 1987 without the volatility. Here you can see in the rate of inflation, the S&P 500, and timber investments. So timber is a real asset. You can touch it, you can see it, unlike a stock, which is just sort of a nebulous thing on your TV screen. The Eagle Daily Investor said that if you had invested $10,000 in timber in 1971, by 2010, you'd have about $1.5 million. So that's, an ROI of 15,000%, which is absolutely insane. But it also gives you, a double-digit internal rate of return, which is something that you really don't see on any other investment. A lot of folks, there's a lot of people who have millions of dollars who are investing in teak. There's also tons of index funds who are investing heavily in timber, which you'll see here. And so who's already profiting from timber? For a long time, forested land was, excuse me, was really only available to the uber wealthy who were owning tens of thousands of acres and millions of dollars in timberland. So folks like John Malone, Ted Turner, the Emerson family, they've been owning teak, or not necessarily teak, but timber for years. So they've seen the value in owning timberland. And if these guys who are aging are still making 25-year investments, what's stopping you? I have a lot of people who say, oh, well, I'm too old. I won't be able to see the returns, or I don't know, 25 years is a long time, but 25 years is going to come and go one way or another. And, hopefully you'll live to see that return, but maybe you've got children or you've got grandchildren or a niece or a nephew or somebody who you can pass that along to and create that generational wealth. And now we've been able to make timber investments something for the average person. So whereas before it was you had to have millions of dollars in your pocket, now you can start as low as about $9,000. So these are just a few of our teak owners who have been able to come down to the farm here in the center here. Eric, this was on our last tour. We actually got to plant some teak saplings. So that was a really exciting thing for him. Why did we choose teak? There are tons of hardwoods and other timber that we could have chosen, but teak has a proven worth for centuries. Um, for centuries, it's been used in the boating industry and shipping because of its qualities. It's naturally hard and durable. It can withstand the elements. It's resistant to bugs, fungus, fire, rot after about age 3. It's used in fine furniture and, like I said, shipbuilders and yachts. Um, you can go online and look at teak products, and you could buy a pine Adirondack chair for maybe, I don't know, $100, or that'll fall apart after a couple of seasons, or you can spend a little bit more and get this Adirondack chair that's selling for $800 and or teak shower mats. Teak is a luxury product. People buy it because it's well known and it lasts. Uh, it's been becoming increasingly popular in real estate. These $45 million Tribeca lofts feature teak hardwood flooring. It's also very commonly used in custom gates. These photos are actually from a gentleman that I met at a conference who is in the custom gate business, and he said he pretty much exclusively uses teak because it withstands the elements so well. Like I said, lots of outdoor furniture is used here. I'll tell you a quick story about this photo down here in the corner. These chairs were actually uh, at my mom's house, and during COVID quarantine, I needed a project to do, and they were looking a little gray and icky. So I got out the power washer and some teak oil and was able to restore them from their gray and dusty state to this beautiful, lovely teak sheen. So just goes to show you that with a little bit of love and care, that teak products can last for centuries. And that goes into to this point here. This teak lounge chair came from the Titanic, was pulled out of the sea after being submerged in the ocean for several decades. And again, with a little TLC, it now sits in a museum and looks practically new. So you own the land, you own the trees, you get to build a legacy, passing it on to your children, grandchildren, friends, family. All right, let me try this video again because I'd like to share this with you. Let's see.
Hi, everybody. Mike, Carol, and Emily Cobb in the Darien jungle at the site of our original teak plantation that we planted 27 years ago. Carol, that's what it looked like behind us, the cattle pasture when we first looked and bought this property 27 years ago.
Hard to believe.
Hard to believe. And today we've turned cattle pasture into an absolutely beautiful teak forest. And when we did it, Carol and I hoped that we would be around to see 25 years, and we are. And we're going to harvest next year, and then we're going to replant. And Emily Sita, that next harvest is yours and your sister's. So I'm glad you came out to see it, and I hope that many of you will take the opportunity to do something for your family and steward wealth into the future, as Carol and I have done for our daughters. Hi, everybody. Mike.
I apologize. That video was supposed to be full screen. It worked when we tested it, but something went wonky there. Sorry about that. Kind of going back to the different offers that we have available for ownership. the most affordable path to entry is that newborn teak, 1/4 acre. The price starts at about 86.80, with projected returns just shy of 110,000. We do also have a very limited number of our teenage teak parcels available. Those are, in order to buy into that, you do need to also purchase 5 of the newborn teak parcels. But that price starts at 23,860 with projected returns around 40,000. And again, these are just projections based on the current price of teak, and with that 5.5% annual growth rate. One new thing that just came about this week that I want to share is a new kind of pathway to ownership for teak. Maybe you don't have that $8,600 liquid right now, but you want to get in on this. We just started a new payment plan option. Requires a $1,500 down payment and then 36 monthly payments of $268.80. This is for one parcel of teak. If you are interested in multiple parcels or a different combination, we can certainly put some numbers together for you and get that info to you. So the second best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, or the first best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So that's that. Now we're going to shift gears and talk a little bit about the sawmill that we have set up since the beginning of planting these farms. The intention was always to harvest and sell it for a semi-finished product. And so a couple of years ago, we started looking around and scouting out locations where we could have an in-country sawmill. Having this in-country sawmill really cuts down on a lot of those third-party costs. Prior to this, a lot of wood gets sent out from Panama, sent to India, Thailand, Burma, where they have teak mills, and then shipped back as a semi-finished or finished product. And so by eliminating that need for the third-party shipping time, all of those expenses, we're able to create that product in country faster and less expensive. So there were a few factors that went into choosing the location for the sawmill. We wanted something that was close to the plantations to cut down on transportation. Wanted it to be outside of Panama City because traffic there, if you've ever been there, traffic in Panama City can be a bit of a nightmare. And so we were able to locate a property that's actually quite close to our teenage farm, which is really quite convenient for a number of reasons. It's also right. Another factor was that it be close to the Pan American Highway. That's what gets you from Darien into Panama City, where it can then be put into cargo ships and containers and sent out to the US, Canada, and other markets. So we brought in some folks to help us design a sawmill. Not going to go into too much detail because there's a lot going on, but the sawmill, we've already started doing some initial processing on it in 2024. And then we're ramping up for the harvest that's coming up on our mature teak farm. And we're estimating that we can process about 4,500 board feet a day, which will ultimately equal about 175 truckloads full of teak going out to market. So a little bit more on the design of the sawmill here. It's quite a process, and we were able to get the team from the company, Wood Miser coming down. They spent several weeks in Panama training our team on site in all of the operations. So it's quite exciting. This was actually the first visit to the sawmill. This was earlier this year. We took some folks down to the sawmill and actually processed the first log from start to finish, which was really quite neat to see that go from a pretty ugly looking log to a beautiful piece of semi-finished lumber. So try this video from Mike here, the sawmill.
Hi, everybody. Mike Cobb here at the sawmill in the Darién jungle. Listen, if you are a teak investor, this is what you care about the most. Because when you sell logs, you get X. When you sell lumber, which is what we have coming off the line right over there, you get 6 to 8X. And as one of our teak investors, what you get is the value of the lumber, not just the logs. And so this is why you want to come out, see the sawmill in action, see the teak plantation, check out what you can do for yourself, for your family, in terms of a great legacy investment. Come out and check it out. We'd love to have you come see us.
Oh. So yeah, like Mike said, we certainly could have uh, built our business plan around just growing the trees, cutting them as logs, and selling that. But if you process it from a log into lumber, your return multiplies exponentially. And so that's, really why it was so important to us to get this sawmill up and running here in Panama.
Hi,
And then one of the other things that we, as part of the processing from logs into lumber, one of the things that it needs to do is be dried out so that it can be sent out to places like Home Depot, Lowe's, fine cabinetry companies, furniture companies, so that they can use it in their finished products and semi-finished products. And so, we've and to do that, you need a kiln. Well, out in the middle of the Darién jungle, there's not necessarily a bunch of reliable electricity, but what there is a lot of sun. And so this kind of short little clip is going to go over the solar kiln that we have put in place in order to, again, cut down on those kind of processing costs, and which help to further increase your investment returns.
Hi, everybody. Mike and Ryan here at the sawmill. So excited. I want to exclaim Ryan's genius on tape. It's the only time I'm ever going to do this. But anyway, it's fantastic. Ryan, you have found a way to dry the wood on the first stage with a solar kiln. Tell us about it. Brilliant, brilliant.
What we've done is we've taken and modified a kiln that was designed by Virginia Tech. That's designed to use the solar heat, which we have a lot of here in Darién, to heat the air up, make it dry so we can suck the moisture out of the wood effectively for free. We have the fans to circulate that hot air between the wood so we can get it ready to bring it down to the 6 to 8% moisture content that we need for international markets in our electric kilns that are right beside us.
So basically what you're doing is you're taking a lot of the moisture out free, basically, and then moving it over to our electric kiln to fine finish it before
So
exporting.
we can control it better and make sure that that one's dry.
Well done, Chief.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, we're trying to make the most of what we have available plentifully in Panama, which is sun and heat, which again helps us cut down on those costs. And though that savings again is passed on to you in your returns. There are several products that we as a company are planning to create ourselves, and items that will also go on to be created by other companies, like I mentioned, furniture companies, flooring companies, etc. So semi-finished products include lumber for construction and flooring, finished products like teak cutting boards, wood decking panels, small kind of furniture items, like the teak lounge chair and shower mat that I showed earlier. But another kind of unique thing that we're able to do again, so that we can really use as much of the teak as possible, is the creation of residual products. So there are opportunities to create these hardwood pellets that can be used in creating pallets and bricks that are, as well as some innovative products that are used locally in Panama in terms of construction. So we're really kind of cutting down on waste and really maximizing how much of that tree we are using and able to market and profit from. One of the things that's really important was that we receive our Forestry Stewardship Council certification. This is a certification that companies in the US and Canada are looking for when they're purchasing teak products, or really any hardwood products. They want to make sure that the wood is sustainably sourced. It's coming from a farmed teak, not old growth teak from countries like Burma and Thailand where it grows naturally. And so we've been able to achieve that. And again, that helps to, it just gives you a little bit of an added value in price as well, because it has that certification to it. So why teak? Why right now? I've mentioned it several times, but leaving a legacy, whether you will or will not be around for the harvest in 25 years, you certainly hopefully have heirs, whether that's children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, friends who are like family, who you'll be passing things on to, leaving that generational wealth stewardship. Ownership of a tangible asset. You can go down, you can see the trees, you can touch them. It's a real thing. There are options to use your self-directed IRA as well. This can only be used if you're doing it strictly as an investment. If you are looking to add that residency component, you cannot use your self-directed IRA. Just want to make that very clear. We also are able to offer payment in a variety of cryptocurrencies, precious metals. We've been doing those for a couple of years. If you have questions about which coins can be used or which metals or how it's evaluated, definitely let us know by sending us an email, and we can kind of dive a little bit deeper into that with you about and your specific case. And then that final one that I mentioned is that permanent residency, obtaining that for yourself, for your family, for your future. Again, it's, whether or not you want to relocate to Panama, or whether you may just want to stick it in your back pocket as a plan B. I know the world is a bit of a crazy place right now if you turn on the news, and people are kind of trying to figure out what to do. So having that look place where you could go should you need to, outside of your home country, where you can legally live and work, is really important these days. And with a pretty small investment in teak, you can secure that for yourself and your family. So like I said, the Teak and Residency bundle, $25,680, projected returns of about $218,000, plus you own the land indefinitely, you own the trees on that land, you acquire the peace of mind for your family. I mentioned throughout that we do offer tours down to the farms periodically. Our next tour is coming up on October 19th. That is a Sunday, so we'll be heading down to, I believe, our teenage teak farm. We'll also visit the sawmill that you saw. And it's a really fun day. You can meet other folks who are looking to own, other owners. If you're interested in starting the residency process, it's a great way to kind of double it up there and get started on that. Come see the farm. And then we do also have an optional add-on on that Monday, the 20th, to go see the Panama Canal, which is where ultimately the teak products that we are creating in the sawmill will pass through. So it's a kind of a full circle tour there, but really fun. If you're interested in joining that, definitely let us know. We do have a limited number of spaces because our bus is a little bit smaller to get down to the farm. So definitely let us know if you're not able to join this one. I know that we also have some things planned for early 2026 as well. And if you're also welcome to go down at any point, just let us know and we can arrange for a private tour for you. But it's definitely more fun when you've got other folks with you chatting, talking about teak, talking about Panama, talking about possible second residencies, relocation. Just great to meet other people who are forward thinking like yourself and looking at alternative agricultural investments. And I do have a special for you for tuning into this webinar, for putting up with my technical difficulties at the beginning with the sound and video there. If you purchase 10 parcels of the newborn teak, we are offering 1 parcel free. So that brings the price down. Oh, that should be an 88, not a 6. Maybe, nope. I can't do math right now, but I believe that number's right. But you can turn 80, just shy of $90,000 into about 1.2 million. So if you are interested in taking advantage of that, definitely let us know as soon as possible. We can get you that business plan, go over any questions that you have, and get you into the teak farm. So if you have any questions or if you want to see that business, get a copy of that business plan, definitely send us an email, info@teakhardwoods.com. Put something in the subject line like Teak business plan or Teak tour, and let us know what questions you have. We would love for you to join our Teak family if it's something that makes sense for as a way to diversify your portfolio. So we have a little bit of time here for some Q&A. Let me just open that up. All right. Oh, sorry about the echo there, CMOS. Hopefully it went away. The price for the half acre is 3 times the price for 1/4 acre. Is this including residency expenses? Yes, Lorraine. So that 25 and change number, that includes the 2 parcels of the teak as well as the legal and government fees to apply for the Friendly Nations visa for the primary applicant. If you have any dependent applicants, so that can be spouse, children under 18 or under 25 if they're enrolled in college. And it looks like we've got Mike Cobb joining us live from the side of the road, maybe?
It is from the side of the road, and I've got howler monkeys right over here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm here at Lake Fayano, which is about halfway between Panama City and the plantations and sawmills. So anyway, we stopped on the way back, try to get a little bit of good Wi-Fi and be able to chat with you guys for a few minutes. Really, sorry I missed the whole webinar, but it's been a great day out here. With touring the teenage teak plantation and then the mature plantation, and then spending some time with Ryan at the sawmill. Here with my wife and daughter, and Sebastian and his wife. So it's a great trip, and really hope that many of you will decide to join us and do the same thing. Come down and see it for yourselves. So I heard Betsy talking about the Discovery Tour coming up in October. It's really a tremendous way to see if this is something that you want to do. I understand people want to kick the tires and really make sure it's here, and it really is. And it's important to do your due diligence. But Betsy, I think you probably talked about the payment program, right? So
Yes.
people can make
Yeah.
just a simple initial investment and then make some monthly investments for over about 3 years. And look, I'm just so happy to have my little daughter Emily here with me. It's her first trip to come out to the plantation. My older daughter Mandy came out here, goodness, about 15 years ago. I think the trees were maybe whatever 10 years old at the time. So both of the girls have been out here, and for us, for Carol and I, my wife and I, really was an investment for them, right? And obviously, we hoped that we would make it for the first 25, and God willing, we'll make it another 6-8 months till we harvest. But we figured, look, we're going to do this, and you know, and it's for the first harvest is for us, right? But the second harvest was really intended to always be for the girls, and so if you're looking for a way to steward wealth into the future, a very very affordable investment. I can't remember the exact numbers. It's like 1,500 down and $265 a month or something. I mean, it is such an easy thing to do, and it's so affordable, and the return is phenomenal. And it is 25 years, but guess what? It's 25 years, and it comes. It really does come. And I hope that many of you will really just decide that this is such an easy button. Push the easy button. Do this. You will be so happy you did it. Truly, you will be so happy you did it. And I just really, really encourage you to do that. So, Betsy, I'll let you get back to Q&A. I've got to get back in the van. Everyone else is already in it, and I hope
All
they
right.
didn't leave without me. But hey, thanks for pulling up the slack here today while I was out tromping around, and I really look forward to seeing many of you in person on one of these discovery tours, and if not, another time. But definitely something. Please give it serious consideration. Come on a trip, do the thing, make sure this is this is really what you want to do, because it really is for so many folks. Betsy, back to you. Have a good
All
one.
right. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
All right. Well, we've still got a few minutes. We can go through a few of these questions that have come up. I see a few people mentioned that there was some audio issues. I do apologize for that. It was working earlier and not sure what was going on, but I do apologize. Appreciate you bearing with me through this. But I'm gonna probably butcher your name, but Lubo had a question about the residency. It is a permanent residency, so you have that residency for life. To maintain it, you just need to come down to Panama about 1 day every 2 years. We can definitely send you more specific details on what that looks like. You had also asked about reputable agents for residency. We have a great legal team that we work with, who really holds your hand throughout that whole process, so that you're not left on your own trying to navigate in a foreign country, in a foreign language, which I know for a lot of people can be quite intimidating. Yes, Luis, we can definitely send you a copy of the presentation. It will also be on YouTube either later tonight or tomorrow. Thomas asked about the sawmill and the dry kiln. So yes, we have that solar kiln that you saw the video, and then we do also have an electric kiln for that final drying process before it's sent out. So it is going out as a semi-finished product ready to go, not green. Octave had a question. Apart from the guided on-site visits, how do you provide remote observability or monitoring? Great question. We don't necessarily have cameras up there, but we do, like I said, we have that forestry management team that's on site there regularly. Ryan is sending us photos constantly of the progress of the farms. And we do send out a regular newsletter to owners with any pertinent updates, as well as photos, information about tours, etc. CMOS, great question. If we choose to go the 36-month plan, is there a penalty if we want to pay the loan off early? Absolutely not. No penalty there. So If you need to kind of wait, do it after a year, that's totally fine. Absolutely. Susanna asked, can I invest 9K now and turn into a residency later? I'm not sure of moving. Um, that's a little bit of a trickier question. Um, it's possible, but there are some additional steps that need to be taken, and we can certainly address those kind of one-on-one. Um, and another great question from Susanna. If I choose not to cut down the trees, can I build a home on the land? Uh, no. Although you own the land, you receive title to the land, you cannot build on the land. I briefly mentioned it earlier, but our farms are certified reforested properties by the government of Panama, which allows us quite a few different incentives. But as part of that, um, you cannot build on the land, you cannot live on that land. Um, it does have to be reforested after every harvest. So, while I'm sure you also probably wouldn't want to live out there, it is extremely remote. There is not a lot out there other than bugs and howler monkeys. Um, let's see. Dawn, yes, the webinar is available. Will be available online, like I mentioned. And we can send you more information about that special offer, the webinar offer. John, oh, great to hear you're going down to Panama next month. Yes, you do need to visit Panama twice during that residency application process. I can send you the full details on what each of those steps looks like, but you do need to go twice. The first time is to submit your application. You leave with a provisional residency card, and then it takes about 4 to 6 months for the immigration office to process your application, and then you would come down again about 4 to 6 months after you submitted it and receive your permanent residency card. Dawn asks, we are seniors and qualify for the pensioner residency. Would that reduce the price of purchasing half an acre? So in that case, you would just be purchasing the individual parcels. You wouldn't be purchasing that residency package. So we can certainly talk to you and work with you and see kind of what options make the most sense for you. And then last question I've got here is from anonymous attendee. If this question was from you, if you don't mind just putting your name in so that we can just make sure that, we get your full question answered here. But what about potential natural disasters which would impact the trees? What if the trees are destroyed? Do you just plant new trees and the 25 years starts over? So to start with the first part, this area of Panama, thankfully has, pretty consistent weather. It's far enough from the ocean that we're not worried about hurricanes or things like that. Um, and I briefly mentioned it earlier, but after the age of 3, the teak becomes resistant to fire, rot, termites, bugs, things like that. That being said, we do still take precautions every year, applying repellents during the dry season. Fire breaks are very clearly put in. And that's why the cleanings of the farm are very important to remove any underbrush, to minimize any small fires that could start. But yes, if for some reason everything burned down, uh, we would simply replant for another 25 years. But that being said, it's very unlikely that that would happen. But again, I don't have that crystal ball, so not sure. Can't predict, what will happen, what could happen. But it is a product to grow in terms of natural disasters. So, if there are no more questions, just want to reiterate that email there, info@teakhardwoods.com. If you're interested in receiving that business plan, if you want more information on the residency or about the upcoming discovery tour, definitely shoot us an email and just jot down in the subject line what it is that you're looking for, and somebody from our team will be in touch with you to chat more about your interests. And we hope to have you join our Teak family if it makes sense, and join our Teak Discovery Tour in October if that works with your schedule. Oh, I see a couple final questions here. We've got just another minute here. Do you have any residents that can be hired to do the seeding for future dependents? So that is all handled by our management company. There is a replanting fee at the end of every harvest. And so, your heirs don't need to go down and plant it themselves. Hopefully that's what you were asking, but if not, definitely let us know and we can go through it for some more clarification. Joe here asked what happens uh, with the property at the end of the 25 years, final harvest. So, like I said, you own the land indefinitely. What many people plan to do is, if they don't anticipate being around, they might retitle the land into the name of children, grandchildren, niece, nephew, charitable organization, etc., etc. And it will continue to be uh, planted and replanted and harvested and replanted every 25 years indefinitely. So that is the plan for the land. And it looks like we're just over the hour here. So I see there's a few more questions that are coming in, but we will be sure to reach out to you following the webinar and get you all of the answers to your questions. And we can also send you a copy of the webinar recording. So thank you again for bearing with my technical difficulties early on. So great to have you all with me tonight, and look forward to hopefully seeing some of you in October down at the farm. Thanks, everyone.